Well, last week, Dan helped us with this short series by beginning speaking about the importance of having focus, responding rightly to the crisis and the challenges, and the idea of living life with a clear focus. So I'm kind of taking the pass from him. We're going to keep going down that same track. I want you to imagine with me just a little bit of a modern day parable. You're standing at a bus stop because you're planning on going somewhere. You know you can buy your ticket from the bus driver, and you're waiting at a bus stop. And a nice big Greyhound bus, of course not Greyhound anymore, I don't know what the new one is. Nice Greyhound bus rolls up, and the doors open, and you look up, and to your astonishment, there's an 8-year-old kid driving the bus, and you kind of do a double look at the kid, and so you ask the kid a few questions. First question you ask him is this: well, where is this bus going? And the kid looks at you and he says, I don't know. And he's kind of laughing. And then the kid looks at you and he says, well, it goes anywhere where we choose to go, anywhere where I feel like going. But you look at the kid and you say, well, I checked the schedule, and I'm going to a certain place, and I need to be there at a certain time. And the kid says, well, you can come on board. It doesn't matter. You look at the young driver and you say, well, is the bus full? And the kid looks around and he says, well, it seems to be some seats that are free or that are open. And so you ask the young driver, the young bus driver, well, how much is the ticket? He says, well, I don't really know. It doesn't matter. Why don't you just come on board and see what's happening? And the conversation continues, but the bus has no direction. People are seated on the wrong seat in the bus. This is how you know. You kind of step up there and you look at the back, and guess who's at the back? There's a guy with a uniform on, and you can tell he's actually the driver. And he's having coffee, and he's laughing and joking around with the other passengers. And as you look around, you figure out this bus has no purpose. There's no intentionality. There's no program. There's no rule. There's no regulations. It seems ridiculous. It's increasingly frustrating because you realize this is a bus that you're on. You realize that buses serve a purpose. There's an intentionality and a purpose to the bus. You were going to get on this bus at a certain time, and you were going to go to a certain location to do this certain thing that you wanted to do, and you had your ticket in hand, and on your ticket it said that you were seated on, seat number 12, seat 12C. Let's read another parable. This one's from Jesus. Matthew 25, 14 to 30. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To the one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to the last one 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. Well, the man who had received 5 bags of gold went out at once and put his money to work, and he gained 5 more bags. So now he's got 10 bags. So also, the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more, 4 bags. Verse 18. But the man who received 1 bag went off. He dug a hole in the ground, and he hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. Verse 20. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought another 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I've gained 5 more bags. And the master said, well done. Yay! Good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold said, Master, you entrusted me with these 2 bags of gold, and see, I've gained 2 more. And his master said the same thing. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Verse 24. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, I knew that you're a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and I went out and I hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. And his master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. You knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gathered where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Here's the problem with our bus story. The bus story is a story of people with no purpose and no destiny. One of the biggest problems with individual believers is this. Individual believers, they have no purpose, they have no destiny, they see purpose as a mystery, and they are confused with destination. And so individuals are like the parable of the bus. Well, the bags of gold. 3 different individuals. Let me say a few things about this. First of all, not everybody receives the same amount of gold, right? He gives 5 bags to one, he gives 2 bags to another, and he gives 1 bag to the other one. And notice the phrase in verse number 15. Each one gets one according to their ability. So everyone has received different amounts of gold. However, and listen carefully, the amount of gold did not affect the intended outcome. The intended outcome was investment. The intended outcome was intentionality. The amount of gold does not in any way, shape, or form affect the intended outcome. The intended outcome was this: do something with your investment. Do something with your gift. So I want to ask 3 questions here. I think they're great questions. Number 1, how do you ensure that you're not the guy with 1 bag of gold who chickens out and misses God's appointed time? It's a great question, isn't it? How do you ensure that you're not the one guy with the one bag of gold who sticks it in the ground, so when the end comes, you are labeled as a wicked and as a lazy servant? Wow. Second question, how can you stay focused? How can you stay focused in this life? And number three, what does purpose and destiny have to do with this? So here's the three questions we're going to work through in the next couple of weeks. How to ensure that you're not the guy with a one bag of gold that buries it, and God looks at you one day and says, you are a wicked and a lazy servant. How can you stay focused? And question number three, what does purpose and destiny have to do with all this? Well, when you have purpose and destiny, you receive that by the gifts and talents that God has given you. Now, you may be a 5-bag gold gifted person. You may be a 2-bag gold gifted person, or you may be a 1-bag of gold gifted person. But don't get mixed up with, or don't get lost in how many gifts or talents you do or don't have. Don't worry about that right now. What I want you to worry about is this: God expects an investment from you. It doesn't matter if you're a 1-bagger, a 2-bagger, or a 5-bagger. That doesn't matter. What matters is this: is God is expecting an investment from you. So one day when you and I stand before God and we say, oh God, see, you gave me 1 bag of gold and I made another bag of gold. And God will look at you and say, yes, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Come on in and enjoy the party, enjoy and share in the Master's happiness. And so what we're aiming for is, hey, well done. A number of years ago, I spent a considerable amount of time putting together my core values of my life. And I have 4 ultimate goals in my life. And the one goal is this: I want to cross the finishing line well. And crossing the finishing line well, whenever the Lord calls me to come home to be with Him, whenever I cross that finishing line well, I want to step across the finishing line, and I want to look at the Father, and I want to see the Father beaming ear to ear, smiling at me and go, Peter, well done, good and faithful servant. That's a bottom line goal and value in my life. And so I go through life, my days and what I'm up to, I go through life thinking one day I'm going to cross the finishing line, and I want to see the Father grinning ear to ear, running towards me, his arms stretched out, hugging me and say, well done, Peter, well done. I want to make sure that what He's invested in me is going to bear investments. So we got this. We started this last week, as Dan laid it out for us, living a focused life. He talked about being. So let me walk you through the parable, Jesus' parable, the being parable. The owner calls. Who does he call? He calls his servants. He doesn't call Frank's servants or Betty's servants. He calls his servants. So the parable teaches us about being. Then the parable teaches us about doing. The landowner entrusted his property to them. And then, of course, there is the fulfilling. Here's the fulfilling. They went out at once and they put the landowner's money to work. And, of course, the rewarding, which we've already mentioned in the previous slide, where we cross the finishing line and God says, well done, good and faithful servant. So we're going to spend this week and next navigating through this here, this portion called fulfilling. They went out at once and put the landowner's money to work. The parable of the bags of gold assumes two things. It assumes purpose and destiny. Now I'm going to share two important metaphors the Bible uses to teach us about focus, purpose, and destiny. And this whole parable teaching us about being, doing, fulfilling, and rewarding. Here's the two metaphors. We'll get through one almost, I think, today. Well, we'll at least introduce one, and we'll do the one next week. So remember the bus, back to the bus. The door opens. You're taken back because there's a kid there. You're not expecting a kid to be driving. And you look at the kid, and you just want to make sure that this is the right bus. So you say, where are you going? Because you see, you are on a pilgrimage. You are on a journey. Now, here's one thing that may depict your spiritual journey. Oh, you're a happy little person. But you're sitting there, and you're basically stuck. You're going nowhere. It's the same old. Nothing's changing. Nothing's progressing. There's no movement at all. It's like you're on that bus that we started with. So in order to not be stuck in your spiritual journey, you need purpose and you need destiny. To have purpose and destiny, you need to see your life as a pilgrimage, as a journey, which means you're intentionally actually doing something and you're going somewhere. This is Psalm 85, 5-7. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage. Right? One more time. 85:4 Psalm. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage. So this is a word that I've picked up. I use with people all the time now. I use with my clients all the time. And I use this word quite frequently. What's happening on your spiritual journey? What's God talking to you about? What is God showing you? How are you moving ahead, or are you stuck? Are you just sitting there doing nothing? My dear friend Merv Earhart, he always used to ask me this, and he used to aggravate me because sometimes I didn't have an answer. He'd look at me and he'd say, so, hey, Peter, what is God talking to your heart about this week? What's God saying to you? And so then I'm obligated to have something, and preferably not something I'm making up, right? I'm kind of obligated to, so I'm going to go see Merv. We're going to have a coffee. He's going to ask me the question, God, tell me something fast, like anything at all, you still love me, or I don't know anything, and it was it was an interesting question because it always kind of jarred me to say, like, I need to be going somewhere. I can't be stuck. I can't be just sitting down. I need to be moving. So more on this. I'll read that again. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose heart is set on pilgrimage. Verse 6, as they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. And watch this, verse number 7, they go from strength to strength until each appears before God in Zion. So tuck that away. I'm going to go back there, that thought, in the next slide. So watch this. Purpose and destiny are associated with this mindset. I'm moving. I'm on a journey. I'm going somewhere. I'm not stuck. I've got purpose. I've got intentionality. I'm moving. I'm walking. I'm moving forward. I'm not stuck. I've got action going on. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 18 and 19. The pathway of the righteous is like the morning sun, which is shining ever brighter until the full light of day. So let me paraphrase that. Because I am righteous and because I'm moving, as I'm moving forward, the sun is getting lighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter until the full light of day when I cross the finishing line and the Father welcomes me home. Because I'm going somewhere. I'm moving. I'm not stuck. This will help us now. Now, 3 times a year, the Jewish people would go to the temple. So here it is. This is Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16 and 17. Here it is. 3 times a year, all your men must appear before the Lord God at the place he will choose. 3 times a year. At the festival of unleavened bread, at the festival of weeks, at the festival of tabernacle. No one should appear before me empty-handed. Each of you must bring a gift in proportion to the ways that the Lord God has blessed you. They would travel intentionally. They would go 3 times a year. Regardless of how far from Jerusalem they were, they would have to travel 3 times a year. And this is a typology. We are intentionally traveling in our spiritual journey. We're moving. We're going forward. We're about something. We have intentionality. We have focus. We have purpose. We have destiny. We're moving forward. When they got to the road up to Jerusalem, and I think it was 6 years ago now, Ruth and I were there, and I can't imagine walking up this hill. We are in an air-conditioned bus. And when you got to the bottom of the ascent up to Jerusalem, you would have memorized Psalm 120 through to 136. You would have memorized Psalm 120 to 136 because those are called Psalms of Ascent. And you would chant them as you go up the hill. I'm not sure how long it would take. Yeah, this is a fairly long track. But they would begin reciting these psalms, and they would be ascending up the hill towards Jerusalem. And they would begin to see Jerusalem. Jerusalem would come into focus, and they couldn't wait to get there because they were on a pilgrimage. They were on a journey. So here's how you know if you're on a journey. So you may want to write these 4 questions down, because they're going to help you, and we'll repeat them again next week. These are am I moving questions, okay? Before you ask yourself these questions, it will help you that if you don't know the answer, ask your spouse. They'll know the answer, okay? And so in case you're a little stumped and you go, well, I don't really know, ask your spouse. Ask your kids. They'll know, okay? Number 1, am I changing? If you had a bad temper when you're 20 and you're 60 and you still got a bad temper, it's not your nationality, it's sin. I don't care if who's angry all the time. Oh, I'm Dutch, so I can get angry. No, you're not. You're sinning. It's nothing to do with being Dutch. All right? So, like, if you're not changing, you're not moving. Number 2, am I wiser? Like, the older you get, the wiser you need to be. Right? Well, how do you do that? Well, read your Bible. More than, like, say, 2 minutes a day. Right? Am I more invested in people? The older you get, the more investment you need to do and to give into people. If you're not investing in anybody, especially if you're my age or older, shame on you. Smarten up. Seriously, come on. Get with the program. Seriously. Am I moving? Well, am I investing in people? Am I more purposeful? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I investing in purposeful living? Am I being focused? Like Dan helped us with that last week. Remember when he talked about his debt chart that he has on the wall? Because they wanted to get out of debt. Are you purposeful? Are you moving ahead? Are you doing something? So there's 4 questions. You can know if you're seated, not going anywhere, if you answer these the wrong way. Am I changing? Am I wiser? Am I more invested in people? Am I more purposeful? As the worship team comes back, I want to share with you a revelation that I had almost a year ago now, actually last fall. I often ask my clients and people this question. I want you to rate yourself on your spiritual journey, 1 to 10. 1 means I haven't got a clue where I am, I haven't got a clue where I'm going, and I'm not going anywhere. 10 means, yeah, I'm doing really good. And it's interesting how people rate themselves on their spiritual journey. But I had this revelation last fall, and the Lord gave this to me, and I was very blessed and very encouraged with you, and I want to share it with you. 3 things. Number 1, I'm not what I was. I'm 64 years old now, and I feel closer to God more than I ever have. I can look back and I can say, I'm not what I was. And you can ask my wife that if you think I'm lying. And I know she would say the same thing. I'm not what I was. I'm better than I was. And so, number 2, you know what? I'm happy with what I am. I am. Because I can look back and I can see that, you know what? I'm not what I used to be. I am what I am. I'm happy with that. But this is why I'm really happy with who I am now. Because I'm not what I'm going to be. Because I'm not sitting down. I got purpose. I got destiny. And I'm on a pilgrimage. I'm moving forward. And so you know what? The Peter you know now is not the Peter you will know when I'm 70 or when I'm 75 or when I'm 80. I'm going to be more like Jesus. I'm going to be more intentional because I'm going to cross the finishing line well, and the Father's going to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And so this has helped me so much. You know what? I'm not what I was. Number 2, I am what I am. But number 3, I'm not what I'm going to be because I am moving forward. I have purpose. I have destiny. I have focus.